Hi, I'm Liz from Blue and Hazel, and today's video is all about how we use the Brave Writer Dart with my first and second grade in our homeschool. So Julie Bogart from the Brave Writer has made a language arts program, and this is the Dart for 8 to 10-year-olds or so. How it works, if you are not familiar, is you choose a Dart that is a book that you want to read in that age group. So for this one, Finn Family Moomin Troll was our book for the month. This one, The House at Pooh Corner, was our book for the month. And we also finished Mr. Popper's Penguins. Each of the darts will come with 4 weeks worth of material. And so today I want to take you through what's inside of each of the darts and also share with you how we use it as our language arts program, and then what a sample schedule Monday through Friday looks like for us. When we started, I was very confused coming from an open and go, do this day 1, do this day 2 type of language arts program. We actually switched over from master books. While it was a little hard to switch over, I love it so much more now. I can really see the rhythm and flow of it and how easily it fits into our everyday life. I hope that this will answer a bunch of your questions, and then at the end, if you feel like you have any questions, just be sure to leave a comment for me. And if you want to see any other specific videos, I can also make more of those for you. So let's get started. This is Julie's language arts from Brave Writer. It has made language arts so much fun for me as a parent. I think my kids are enjoying it. I also just feel like it is covering grammar in the most natural way possible. So instead of having worksheets and worksheets like I was used to and comfortable with, honestly, there are no worksheets. It's all done. We do it on the whiteboard together, and we talk about it. And then we point it out in our books, different things that we see that we've covered, we pointed out in our books. So you'll print out something called the Dart Guidelines, and I recommend you just read it before you start, especially if you're new to copy work and dictation. Read the Dart Guidelines. Julie has a few different types of dictation, and I'd never heard of French style dictation before. We'll talk about that in a little bit. And I'd never heard of reverse dictation before. And so she has those incorporated into each Dart, and she tells you how to do it in here. The other thing I wanted to point out in the Dart, Julie has made Our Week with Dart. If you're a planner and you want to kind of know what to prep for, she's made that for you. And then what to do in that week with the kids, she's made that for you. The other thing is called the Dart Skills Tracker. Each Dart is going to have different parts of grammar that it's going to cover, and they are not all going to get covered at once. So this is just a way that as the year goes on, or 2 years or whatever, you can kind of revisit, oh, have we covered proper nouns? Have we covered common nouns? Have we covered verbs, adjectives, adverbs, conjunctions? And so a few of these are covered in each Dart, but not all at once. So this is a way that you can have peace of mind that you are covering or have covered certain topics. It would also be a really great thing to put in your homeschool records. So on to how we use this Dart. What you'll get in every Dart is a spin and spiral. You might maybe have heard scope and sequence before. That's this. So it will tell you all of the different things you'll be covering this month. So every Dart is going to be divided into 4 weeks. Read through it all first before getting up in front of your kids. That'll help you out a ton. What I didn't do our first month was I didn't make any notes in my book, and I treated it like it was a grab and go type of curriculum, which it really isn't. Sadly, that's not how it is now. I feel like it almost is more now that I'm used to it, but for your first month and maybe even your second, just mark it up. Some of this is written to you as the parent, and some of it is something that you could actually just say to your kids. I read through it and I thought, okay, this is perfect. I'll say this, say this, say this, and this. So when I got up in front of them with the passage on the whiteboard, it was easy for me to look at my notes and know what to say next. So you can veer from this. You don't have to read this, but for me personally, that was just easier. I kind of like scripted in an area where I'm not as confident. One other thing I wanted to say before I talk about the parts of the dart is that Julie has this thing called Big Juicy Questions. And there's a page in the back of every dart, let me see if I can find it, with a list of big juicy questions. They're just ways to help you to talk about the book. If you're good at this already, you don't need these, but big juicy questions. So here's a couple before you read the book. There's always going to be some at the end of the book, and then a little way in, further in, and near the climax. You'll see there's this thing called Big Juicy Questions, and it says, go ahead and read them now. There you go on week 2, there's some more. Next week 3, there. Every single week is going to have a passage. I literally just write this on the whiteboard. Some people prefer to print this page off for each kid and hand it to them. But we've tried both ways, and my kids really just liked it on the whiteboard better. I think it was bigger, and we can use colors to circle things, and they just like it better. So there's the passage. I write this on the whiteboard on day 1 of the week, and then we talk about it. So there's this page each week called What to Note, and What to Note is going to have all of these topics like I just mentioned here. I'll show you in week 2 what they look like. Here's the passage, and then here's What to Note page. So we're going to talk about white horses, commas, shown or shined. I decided this was too advanced for what I wanted to talk about with them, so I left this part out. And you have the freedom to do that, so don't feel guilty for leaving things out, because you can talk about those when your kids are older. And so that's going to be each week. You'll have the passage and you'll have What to Note. And I try to do this whole What to Note page on day 1, usually Monday. As we're, circling the capitals and circling the periods at the end and talking about why the commas are there, I go ahead and also point out usually anything that Julie has noted on the What to Note page. And sometimes after they've done the copy work and then we talk about anything on the What to Note page, sometimes that's all the attention span I have, and we just pause for the day, because copy work is hard for little brains and it takes a lot of concentration. One other thing I tried to do our first month that doesn't work well, a mistake I'll share with you, is I thought, oh, I can have them copy work while I talk about these things. That was a total flop, because they really cannot concentrate while I'm doing that, and so I don't recommend talking while they do copy work. So the next thing that every week we'll have is something called How to Teach This Passage. It's usually 2 to 3 pages. So you'll see these yellow kind of banner, How to Teach This Passage. So this one has 4, I guess. Spelling and vocabulary, that's going to be on every week under the How to Teach This Passage. And she encourages you to just talk about the words, as well as if you want to use those for spelling practice or for prepping your kids for dictation later, you can do that. But this is not a complete spelling program, and I'm okay with that because my kids are little and I really want to focus on reading and becoming a stronger reader before I hound in spelling. And so I'm fine with this being all we do for spelling, but if you want a more rigorous program, this is all you get for spelling. And not necessarily how to teach spelling either, just here are spelling words. Yeah, we just kind of cover this, and like I said, I make notes along the way, like literally say this, literally say that. We talked about the word would, which was in our passage. Does it sound like any other words to you? It has a sound-alike homophone. My kids had never heard that word before. So anyways, there's just a few things to point out. When you start losing their attention, that's a good sign that you should just pause and be done for the day. I've found with mine at least. So we usually do the How to Teach This Passage yellow banner pages on one of its own day. So that's usually like a Tuesday for us. And then, like I said, if Monday they're finished their copy work and ready to do more than this page, you could start on some of the stuff on here. And so I'll go to week 2 and show you that. Here is the how to teach this passage page for week 2 of this. So we talked about color words. I made a note, just literally say this to them. And we talked about, oh, this was a fun activity that we did, creating a colorful vocabulary. We picked out 5 color words that we found and learned how to write those out. Very simple, very short. The next thing I wanted to point out to you that's in each week of the DART is going to be Spotlight Grammar. I like to do the Spotlight Grammar on its own separate day. So you could do that on a Wednesday or a Thursday or a Friday, whatever you like. This Spotlight Grammar here, it chooses one thing. This time it's compound nouns for this week. And let's see what week 2 would be. You can see Spotlight Grammar for week 2, pronouns. There's always a little activity that goes with it. And I find Julie is so spot on with her activities because they make the kids use the stuff that they just learned. So for the pronoun, we had to do this silly activity where we had to write down a sentence, or I wrote it down, and they could only say like she says, instead of I love walking my dog, you'd have to say Jason loves walking Jason's dog. So it showed them how silly talking would sound if we didn't use pronouns. For compound nouns, we learned what they were, and they had to go around the house and they had to point out to me any compound nouns that they found. And so because it was kind of new to them what it was a little tricky for them to find. So I would give them some hints like, oh, go into the bathroom and what's in the jar next to the toothpaste? And they'd say toothbrush. Yeah, that's right, that's a compound noun. So we'd write it down. Or like, yeah, all of these. So I gave them a lot of hints for these, but they really started to pick up on it. That was easy and fun, and I did the writing so that it could stay fun for them and not be overwhelming. Week 3 Spotlight Grammar here was attribution tags. So I just read through this and decided to say these things. And the part that they had to do, which was really fun, was we had to say yes and no in all of these different types of voices. So, yes, she shouted, or yes, she asked. Yes, they whispered. Yes, he sighed. And then we had to go practice saying it like all these different ways to understand why would attribution tags make good writing, if you use different ones. So this was a really easy and fun activity, and every single week she has an activity that really practices the grammar that she's teaching you. I love it. Okay, and then the special thing in each DART on week 4, you don't have to do this on week 4, you could switch it up and it wouldn't be a big deal. But week 4, instead of Spotlight Grammar, she has something called a literary device. This literary device was cast of characters, and we talked about that, how in Finn Family Moomintroll, how they describe the characters, and then the kids had to make their own. So on the whiteboard, I went ahead and asked each one of them what book they wanted to choose. They had different books. I think my son did Plants vs. Zombies, and my daughter did Little House on the Prairie. And then they picked 1 or 2 characters and described their things that were important about them, their personalities, different things they thought would highlight that character. The other thing I wanted to mention about the DART is the copy work and dictation. So I usually do copy work on day 1 and dictation on probably the last day. We don't really do anything on Fridays, so that's for us is Thursday. And Julie has a few different types of dictation, and you can do whatever one you like for your kid. But each week it'll give you a suggested one, and then you can do the one that you want. But basically week 1 is copy work only, and then week 2 has French style dictation. Every DART has this. Okay, here we go. So week 2, here's the passage, and this is in the back of the book, so you can make copies of these if you have multiple kiddos. So how you'll do the French style dictation is you'll read the passage, and your child will notice that the word is missing that you read, and they'll have to write the word down. So they'll be writing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 words every week on week 2 for French style dictation. So I would read it. The C had changed, and then they would have to write down C. And you might need to give them some hints on how to spell it if they need help. That's not a problem. Or maybe they have just mastered that at the end of the week. And then the other type of dictation, we don't do yet with where we're at in writing with my kids and their ages. We don't do complete dictation where I read the sentence and then they write it down. We're just not there yet. But what we can do is the reverse dictation here, the French style dictation here, where they can just write a few words in. And then the reverse style dictation is on week 4 of every DART. And what that is, you could just make a mental note. This is just editing. So you're going to be editing this, looking for mistakes. And so you could print this out and do it together as a family. And so a lot of the things in here they might not remember, oh, that's not capitalized, or oh, there's no periods, or oh, that's not how you spell yellow, or oh, moom and wood isn't capitalized. Oh, full is missing an L. So you could do this together, or if you have older kids, they could do this on their own, and then you can check to see if they left anything out. So here's the passage if you need to see the passage, or want to let them check their own work at the end. They also have each DART has a little blank line and a thick blank line for copy work. We don't use these. The kids do their copy work in a cheap dollar binder with wide ruled paper. But you could use this if you want to. I made this little schedule to show you here, but yeah. Monday is we copy the passage and we cover the what to know page. And then Tuesday, we do how to teach this passage section. Wednesday, I usually not do the DART, but I do the Jot It Down program, which is the creative writing projects with Brave Writer, and then Thursday, we'll do the Spotlight Grammar and then the dictation. And Friday is usually off for us because we do other things with our co-op, but you could leak that into Friday if you wanted. So pretty simple. This is our little schedule. This is not, the same every week per se, but this has kind of been a good rhythm for us. And if you need a starting point, write this down and let yourself just have the freedom to figure out what works for your family. All right, if you made it that far, awesome job. I know that was a really long video, but I hope that now you feel like you have some just examples of a family that does the DART and how to use it. If you enjoyed this video, I sure would appreciate it if you give it a thumbs up, and be sure to subscribe for more homeschool videos. All right, we'll see you next time.